it's got it's got enough kind of padding around it to a point, but if you move slightly or you try to extend it, forget it. It's going to pick it up.
Yeah, yeah. So some of them are better for that. I mostly don't. I would never normally try and adjust the length in the middle of a shot. Although there are times, especially if my boom's not playing at the time, maybe it's another mic, I might make the adjustment to make the next shot. But it's all about trying to find the right length, find your right position, so that you can access every actor that you need to without causing shadows. Right, that's the biggest issue.
Of course, yeah, of course.
Everyone seems to be an expert on boom shadows and calling when the boom's in shot, which isn't always my fault. It's a collaboration, and I could rehearse, and it's happened, man. Like there was a day on Solo, and I was on the Millennium Falcon. It was the newer set model of it for the movie, and I kept asking the operator. I said, am I safe here? Am I safe here? It's the whole thing's kind of kicking off. It's exploding, stuff's flying around. So he goes, yeah, you're great there. So I stand there, and they start firing everything off. And the guy comes running through with a camera, and then he pans right to me, and there I am in shot. And they go, cut, right? And it was 15 minutes to reset all the explosives and all of that. And luckily, the guy went, that was my fault, because I had asked him several times.
Am I okay here? Yeah.
Am I good here? So, and I don't blame him either for feeling. Sometimes I try to predict, and as I've been doing it for 10 years now, so I slowly understand what they're trying to do, and you can kind of predict what they're going to do, right? They always say for like the focus puller, like they always check the length to the door, because the operator is always going to go to the door. Like if someone walks in, right? Even if they say they're not going to do it,
they're going to do it. Yeah.
So there's all these things you can do to cover yourself. But you do get caught out sometimes, and sometimes it's not your fault. Sometimes it's miscommunication. Sometimes they've decided to do different, forget to tell you. Sometimes you just get it wrong. I'm guessing all the time where the frame line is. Sometimes it takes me a couple of weeks if the operator does something slightly different. Like if you imagine like the show Mr. Robot, right? Quite often they're like this,
Yeah.
And me as a boom operator, I can't figure that out because, I don't know where to put it. Whereas I'm more used to this, right? I'm more, a more common frame.
That's right. Do you think it's like in my world, if I've ever worked with, say as an editor who's picked up like one of my scores and he likes it, and he's like, and this is why I think in the trailer world, they don't like the composers getting in with the editors, because then you can build a working rapport, and
right.
you cut at them out basically.
Yeah.
So do you find that if you've worked with the same kind of camera crew, if you like, there's almost like nuances in their movements and their approach that you then could interpret better if you've worked with the same team?
Yeah, you might know what a camera operator is more likely to do if you worked with them before. And then not only that, their strengths, their weaknesses, as much as they know my strengths and weaknesses, right? They probably know that around about 4:00 after lunch, I switch off,
Don't talk to Mike about anything.
Don't expect him to keep the boom out of shot after lunch. So I think that is the case. I think and not only that, there's an element of trust too, right? It's like if you're an operator, it's probably a scary thing that if there's a boom operator, and I certainly found that when I first arrived in Canada, because nobody knows who I am. Especially if you're running around with a really heavy Steadicam, the last thing you want is, someone getting in the way with the boom, right? And ruining the take that, you put a lot of energy into. But the beautiful thing about a take is that it's there, we do it, and in the hope that everyone gets everything right? So sound, camera, actors, costume, lighting,
it's there.
The grips, like everyone has to get it right on that day. And if we get it all right, great. Yes, sometimes maybe sound doesn't get it right, but they love the take. So we're going to deal with it. We'll either steal the line from a previous take or ADR or whatever, or, technology's changing, maybe camera, maybe the exposure wasn't quite right, but it's very easy to.
So I suppose in a way, what I'm getting is very much patience, and I do want to come back to this work-life balance, but not quite yet in terms of the times you're on the set. But I think, like, has there been times where you've had to kind of say, cut, or would that be more the mixer who would give that direction to say that the sound was
It
crap?
depends. I mean, that's a relationship you have to build up with a director and the first assistant director who runs the set, and the mixer and everyone else involved, because some people don't want you to call cut. You don't know what the director's looking for is the important thing. So I've certainly in the early days, you see some people kind of getting worked up about an aspect, of a shot when the director only cares about the opening, shot, or all they care about is actually in the last 3 takes they got it great. It's just that they didn't get them walking out the door well.
Sure.
So you yell cut on take 4 because there's a plane.
Yeah, when
It doesn't
actually
help.
when actually his intention wasn't. Yeah, I understand.
Now,
that.
I've definitely called cut when there's a technical, when we're not rolling sound, when there's an issue like that. That's a no-brainer. The other stuff I've done, but that's a relationship you have to build up with the director, whether they're going to let you do it, or,
Okay.
trust you to do it.
It makes
Sometimes that's a great way to, upset everyone involved.
Well, I suppose, but it's one of those things, isn't it? I suppose it's a difficult call because you can't wing it if you're not recording, mate, or you're not if you
Yeah,
completely
I think
what I mean?
I think that's a different game, and bad things happen all the time. Especially as if you think about the amount of hours I've spent on a film set, that used to bother me a lot in the early days, making mistakes and things like that. But I do it so often, right? Like I'm doing it all the time that yes, I'm gonna get it wrong someday, or something's not gonna go the way we want it to go. We do our best to, like I had the gear last night set up to record this, make sure it all works, check it again this morning. I keep looking now. There's so many things you can do, but stuff still happens.
That's right. That's right. So, I think, and like you said, like for instance, with the example with Solo, that absolutely wasn't your fault, but because that guy said you'll be fine there, and perhaps he honestly thought maybe he was focused on something else and just hadn't made that.
Yeah,
connection.
I think at the time he thought that I was fine there, but
Absolutely.
then obviously as an actor does something, he decides he wants to go there.
Yeah. It's so much to play, and I think what's coming through constantly, which I my big take home so far is it is the collaboration and just people got to own up. Like I love the fact that
and communication, right?
Absolutely,
Don't be afraid to put your hand up and say I made a mistake, or I need some more help here, or that didn't work for me. This is what I need. What are you looking for?
Yeah. Absolutely, and
don't presume what everyone else is trying to get out of the situation.
That's right. I keep focused on that film, and I like the fact as well that was on me. That sort of thing's perfect. If someone tries to sort of say, Mike, what you doing? You're like, well, dude, I did say like 3 times, like, am I okay here? Then you get arguing, and I think
that doesn't happen. It's not needed.
Like that.
You just move on.
Yeah.
You can get on, and like I say, the bigger the show I'm on, the more professional people can be, and the easier things like that are.
Perfect.
But I am also aware, the bigger the film is, quite often the more sound can take a back seat. There are exceptions to that rule. But, there's only 3 or 4 sound people on a film set, and there could be hundreds of people dealing with the image.
Yeah.
Be it costume, sets people, camera people.